Hello,
Hello, hello.
folks. Hey, it's Chris Edgeworth here with Kaiso, if the mid laner of Rice Farmers from the big win we just saw. How are you feeling?
Awesome. Oh my god, that win was awesome. It felt really good.
Right on. Let's talk about the setup for this game. You folks drafted for your part. You were in the Ari Syndra matchup in the mid lane. There was a lot of interesting things going on in this draft. You folks also brought in the Nidalee, which I believe was just buffed on 12-6.
Hmm.
As well as we saw on the other side, we did see them play around with this Trundle Flex into the Irelia that you folks had for Vess. What were your thoughts overall on the draft that you folks were putting together and what you were up against?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have full faith in my coach. I was a little scared, to be honest, going into the draft, just because I didn't like the double AP. But um, I knew that we had the team gap. I knew that we were playing a fast-paced game with a lot of fast action and looking for picks constantly. And I knew that that was our playstyle, and I knew that we knew how to execute it. So I was pretty confident going into the draft as we finished up.
Yeah, I mean, just on that point about the AP mid jungle, it's just I'm looking at it and there's 3 Merc Treads on the side. It's just pretty
Yeah, we were a problem.
pretty fair and balanced item into the double
Yeah,
AP. It looks
for
like
sure.
it wasn't enough though, because you're just built a little different in this game. You were the score line at the end 9-1 and 13 out of
For
your
sure, yeah.
34. So what is that? A little back of the envelope map, 30 or 22 out of 34. It's pretty good. That's like it's like close to 2/3 ish. So
Yeah, not
you
bad.
were doing pretty well in that game. Give me some of your thoughts, if you would, about how you felt this game played out from your perspective in early on in the laning phase, and how you folks were able to maintain this win into the end.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm pretty terrible at RE. I was not playing the laning phase at all well. But I knew that if I stuck through, I knew my macro well enough, and I knew how to team fight well enough. So I just endured the Syndra, painful level 1. I think I was like 30% HP by like level 1, which was disgusting. But yeah, I mean, I knew that I would gap him, so it's nothing big.
At a certain point in the game, I felt like you were like low-key mind controlling them into like walking into your Everfrost or like Charms at
Yeah.
random times. Where I was just like, why are you there? So that
Yeah,
was interesting. You know, you say that you didn't play out as well as you would like, but hey, you know, it helps when you get a little extra assist on your targeting.
for sure.
So
Yeah,
well done.
yeah.
Let's talk about the matchup you folks have coming up later today against Goofy Goobers. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings going into this matchup, especially now that you're 2-0?
Uh, I'll be honest. I don't know any of the teams here. I looked at the OPGG like 3 minutes before the game started. Like my coach outdrafts them every time. I'm not gonna lie. I'm extremely confident about this next game. I know that we're gonna win. I know that we're gonna 3-0 this, and we're gonna have a big smile at the end of the day.
It's just it's a team gap, coach gap.
Yes, sir. That's our motto.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview, Kaiso. Any final thoughts? Your last opportunity? Anything to leave with us on the desk? Any shout outs? Any banter?
Yeah. Keep banning Katarina, or else you will get shit on.
All right, dude. Well said. Well said. Folks, we're going to leave it there, but we do have another game coming up very soon. Game 2 of Mythic Spring Tournament coming up.
with a light, trying to find my heart. Funny when I break out a lifestyle dark. Honey when I write, get a tight flow spark. What a psycho chart, playing dice, go starter. Who are you? Better know yourself. Know your soul, gotta know your wealth. Slow your roll, get a hold, don't melt. And don't you fall when I feel like hell. Well, who am I? Am I me? I'm not the one you wanna fuck with. Late nights messing up my sleep, so I'm flustered. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Writing, trying to get myself a lamb color cuts for the game. Leave from hanging by his chain. Click, bang, feeling rage, feeling fire in my brain, feeling sane. And it's all we feel the flame. 45 to my brain, praying for it. Please fail, no glory. So I'm flustered, taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. But you trying to get myself a lamb color custard.
Remember, I used to be that kid that every day would get rejected. Y'all got my story, the glory was painted on a song. I'm mortified but feel immortal. This pen to this paper always open up different portals. It's I and me, it's me and I'm by myself. I'm down the ride, I'm taking on the tide. Size of tsunamis touching the sky. I got a quick scan, it's time to move. Leaving everything else behind, I got something to prove. I'm just riding away, no I ain't running away. I got memories set, oh I'm just finding my place where I belong to. Feeling glory in my soul. Hey, I'm riding away, I'm finding my place. Yeah, I gotta escape, yeah, that's what I gotta do. See you on the other side, see you on the other side, see you on the other side. Oh no.
Constantly changing, always rearranging, always rearranging, always rearranging. That is constantly changing, always rearranging, always rearranging. constantly changing. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. That is constantly changing. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Always rearranging.
But they're outnumbered. Dredgeline does go out onto Geico and Cool Guy Tony. So much damage coming out of that ultimate, but Archangel might find Copper here. Chomp goes out and Copper falls. Cool Guy Tony now in trouble. Dashes to safety. Kiku Powder misses, but a flash from Archangel is going to get him. 5 seconds now in danger. Unleash Power goes out and is going to drop to Archangel down instead. That would be so much better. Archangel going to annihilate the bottom tower, but a spear from 5 seconds is going to land. Archangel's so big, but maybe not big enough for this 2v1. Oh, the combo is stacked, and so much damage comes out from Archangel, who flashes on top of 5 seconds. What can you do? The Zonius comes out, but it's not enough. Archangel going to absolutely try and stop it. And Scout will be sitting on white. Kaiso's in on top of Street Smurf, who goes early, but Geico is already dead. Cool Guy Tony in there doing so much damage, going to completely the Baron take, but Archangel has teleported into the fight, but the Hull Breaker's off, and that means Kaiso putting out so much damage. It's a big shutdown on Archangel, and Frozen being the sole member off of the inhibitor, and that's the second inhibitor going down for Rice Farmers. Frozen hook forward, going to find Kaiso, who Spirit rushes out of there. Cool Guy Tony taking so low, but the overdrive's going off, and Vess is doing massive damage in the backline. Geico having to flash away, and Archangel is slain. Kiku Powder not going to be able to find much of the backline, while Vess cleans up the entire backline. Hello, friends and foes alike. We are back once again for another game of Mythic League Day 2. I am once again War Leader, joined by Lolo as we get into SGR having to come back off a tough loss.
Yes, SGR having to come back over a game that could well have been theirs, but I'm sure they'll be bouncing back very quickly, War Leader, against Ragnarok Esports Loki, who went 0-2 yesterday, but having spoken to them earlier, they have quite a lot they think they can work on as a team. They're feeling very positive about this game, and they say that, you know, in scrims it's looked pretty good as well from what I've heard. So I think this is going to be another very interesting game, particularly, as you said, from that loss from SGR. Maybe they change things up with the draft, particularly against, you know, a very different opponent. Who knows? But one thing we're not seeing as we go into these bans is an Ahri ban, and Ahri is now 3-0 in the Mythic League with, I think this is a no-brainer for Street Smurf if Ragnarok don't ban this on their third ban of Red Side.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be a call out to TSM Burger King. See if they have a good answer for the Ahri. I have to imagine that SGR are looking to heavily prioritize it with how much success it's had within the league. And we're just going to have to see what the answer is, or if SGR decide it's worth their first pick slot.
They're having a little bit of a think about it. In the meantime, we do see a nod to Frozen not wanting to deal with that Blitzcrank that we saw being incredibly offensive in the previous game. That is going to be a first pick Xayah, which we have seen Xayah rising and rising in popularity since, of course, you know, we're seeing, you know, nerfs and changes to some of the hypercarry picks like Jinx. But it's not too often you see her as a B1 in the current meta, so that is definitely something them wanting to pick a priority pick for Geico, excuse me. And therefore him, you know, wanting to be on something a lot stronger that maybe he's more comfortable with than the Jinx we saw previously.
Yeah, and the immediate answer from Ragnarok is going to be Misfortune in that bot side, so we're finally going to get away from that sort of hyper carry style with the Jinx, Aphelios, and Zeri that we've constantly been seeing. Get into a little more scrappy, a little more poke focused. Ragnarok also going to take away that Trundle. Archangel was an absolute monster on it, and fortunately had a bit of a team gap in that last game, you could say, making sure that pick doesn't go over, and that opens up SGR to respond with that RE pick.
Now, this is the big question which you already alluded to, War Leader. What does Burger King and Ragnarok Esports have in response? Because if this is going to get locked in, and I don't see why Sick Game Riot wouldn't do this, this champion currently doesn't really have any counter picks. She's so strong at the moment. She team fights well. She skirmishes well. She has great presence in lane. She's great for 2v2s. She's just... Burger King so far has shown us a Veigar and a Yasuo. And he's looked pretty... I mean, Yasuo is definitely his biggest comfort. So if he does feel incredibly confident that he can play that matchup out and actually get a lead over Street Smurf, that's a very tall ask. So in the meantime, SGR, they're going to lock in the Viego. That is Pigu Powder's bread and butter right there. It's another very comfortable pick for him. And I think he'll be quite happy. He may not have the best time early game against this Trundle, but he will in fights. We have a lot of reset possibilities coming out for SGR between this mid-jungle.
Yeah, definitely a team that profits off of a pick. And Burger King, are you going to lock this in? It is going to be Yone. Is Burger King's answer for Street Smurf's Ahri. Now, previously we saw Burger King play into Kai'So's Ahri in their game in day 1. But now into Street Smurf, the call-out is no longer Yasuo, but it is Yone. And we're going to have to see how that matchup plays out in the mid lane. I used to one-trick Ahri a couple seasons ago, but Yone was not out at that time, so I actually have no experience with that matchup.
So the thing is, I mean, obviously the win wall is real value against an Ahri at all points, which is something the Yasuo has, but the Yone, it is, you know, a little bit more devastating, and it does have a much more meaningful engage. So it is something that they can combo with the MF Ultimate, of course, to have some real, like, big potential to make picks in choke points and things like that, like big decisive fights. But now with the second round of bans coming in, we are going to be seeing the support pool being squeezed as much as possible, because both Frozen and even with an Eye are yet to lock those in, like, with these ADCs.
Yeah, and those support picks are going to go away. Thresh, Morgana, Leona all taken out. The Rakan as well. I'm a little surprised to see SGR is the one banning the Rakan. I would think they'd want to pair it up with the Xayah, but
yeah.
RSL not taking it away, so SGR doesn't want Evan with an Eye to have that either. As we go into this pick, I would be surprised if they lock it. Oh, they do! They lock in a Mumu for Atlas Jungle. Something about that big team fight power alongside the Yone RSL is going to use to propel themselves forward in this one, and that means the Trundle likely going to be in that top lane. It opens up an opportunity for Archangel to get onto Fiora, and I know that is a pick that they absolutely spam in solo queue.
Of course, yeah. Archangel, this is their bread and butter, and we have seen that weak side veteran, when on the Gragas, was looking pretty good, less so on something a little bit more side lane-like focus like the Camille. But this Trundle, yeah, this is definitely Archangel looking to set up a bit of a lane kingdom again on a comfort pick. And I did have to check my calendar just for a moment there, War Leader, to check this wasn't like autumn of, 2021, because yes, that is an Amumu support coming in. But we all know why. It's the curse of the sad bullet time all over again, and it is going to be paired. Ragnarok Esports have said we are going for the mother of all wombos here with this draft that they've locked in, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and it's something, the Wombo combination of Diana and Yasuo is something that they tried in a previous game, and I really like it as an idea. If you feel like you're maybe mechanically weaker than your opponents, yeah, pull out big Wombo and see if you can out-macro them and out-teamfight them with just your powerful AoE ultimates. And Cannon being locked in, probably for weak side veteran, does mean that Amumu's going to go in the support role into Frozen's Renata. So we're kind of seeing a very pick and reset focused team versus a very team fight Wombo focused team.
Yeah, we did mention that Renata, of course, as we are going to see another little bit of a line of scrimmage there. Of course, the Trundle going to be doing a little bit of that dancing early on. Probably not much more than that, apart from just a tiny bit of aggressive vision. A little bit aggressive anyway. Oh, I don't know if anyone's going to be skirmishing too early, maybe.
Archangel's looking for that Vital, doesn't quite find it. Does in fact find a Grasp proc though, so weak side Veteran going to have to try and trade back as much as possible. I don't know if Cannon runs Mana Flow Band, but if not, that's definitely a very minuscule but definitive win for Archangel, picking up that Grasp proc and getting that bonus HP in their pocket. So early on, the vision that Pigu Pounder got down inside the jungle of Atlas is going to maybe tell them a little bit depending on the way Atlas pass. And Atlas, knowing that ward is there, has to decide, well, if I go and do 6 camps and I go up to my Krugs, then maybe that ward should expire by the time I get back there, and they won't see me go to Raptors. But if you want a more accelerated path, going to have to blaze right by those Raptors. So maybe we'll see something where Atlas goes all the way around that terrain to not get seen by the vision. I'm very curious to see what Trundle is going to decide to do.
I think we are going to be seeing quite a lot of action in the bot lane in particular, and we are already.
Yeah, and we see Evan with an eye going in deep. Bandage Toss hits Frozen. The Ignite is down, and Perpetual Dusk going to find first blood. Evan with an eye has to flash out. Ignite ticks, gives the kill back over to Frozen, and now Perpetual Dusk and Geico are fighting, but Perpetual Dusk is a much stronger level 1 on that Misfortune. Those love taps hit so hard. Geico having to burn the flash in that one. And as a result, First Blood does go over to Perpetual Dusk on the side of Ragnarok Esports. And Frozen is actually the one that picks up the return kill onto Evan, meaning that right now the bot lane is definitely going in the favor of Ragnarok.
Yes, and Ragnarok say, as we see a little bit of trading up here in the top side, Ragnarok say to themselves, yes, we know how dangerous your bot lane are, but with this combination, we're very happy to take the 2v2, and that is a big win for them. Moreover, Perpetual Dusk kept his flash. Geico had to use his. He has the cleanse still, but he's now a lot more vulnerable. So now with Trundle pathing down, with both junglers pathing down to this bot lane, we might see more action to come when we get that 3v3 potentially.
Yeah, and both junglers currently opting into 5 camp. I don't see Viego looking to go to Krugs, so it'll probably just stay at 5 camps. And Pigu Pounder is the first one to show their head within this bottom lane. We're going to have to see if the gank is sniffed out. They now see him. Evan with an eye already backing up. A Perpetual Dusk is pushed far forward. Pigu Pounder is going to look for the stun onto Misfortune. It is going to land, and so much damage is going to go to Perpetual Dusk, who fires up the rain of bullets onto Pigu Pounder.
Oh my God.
My goodness, the handshake finds 2, and that means a double kill goes over to Geico. Atlas is now stuck in a 1v2, but Burger King is on the way. Atlas does find Geico, and Frozen 1 doesn't have much damage. Burger King now arriving to the fight is going to take out that support, and it is going to be 3 for 2 going in favor of Ragnarok.
That was unreal. Someone nerf the troll, please. Oh my goodness. Again, that is going to be, I mean, I think, SGR will be quite happy with that, because we were saying that after that initial 2v2 play that Geico was behind. He's not behind anymore. He's got a serrated Dirk and a tier. He's looking very comfortable at the moment. So whilst, very extended fight there, and yes, Atlas was able to equalize and actually get themselves a bit of a kill lead. 2 kills on Azire. I think they'll take over 2 kills on Trundle.
Yeah, likely as this game goes on, those 2 kills will be so much more valuable on the AD carry. But for now, Trundle's going to have a little extra ganking power to get things done in the early game. And Atlas is back in the bot lane to see if they can get it done. Meanwhile, Pigu Pounder ganking in the mid lane. Not going to find much. The Mist, not enough speed to get on top of Burger King. Yone being able to sniff that one out just in time. And as these lanes start to shake out, it's really even across the board.
It is, yes. And as you mentioned, Atlas, he is... Oh, hey, hang on.
Pigu Pounder finding weak side Veteran caught up a little bit, but the stun is not going to land. And it does mean that weak side Veteran can just go Spark mode and run on out of there.
Yeah, so now Atlas has got himself a Tiamat, so his clear is going to become significantly faster now. He's up there on his Krugs, and he is paying attention, of course. Whilst weak side Veteran does have a push, should Pigu Pounder try to go for a repeat gank, he'll be up there, and they definitely win the 2v2 given the current situation of the top side. So, good play by him. In fact, he's going to just continue to hover, clear his camps out, and that is going to allow a little bit of breathing room for Burger King to get a reset off. So he's hit his initial spike as well. Actually, things are looking pretty good right now for RSL.
Yeah, things are looking pretty good. And especially So, you were talking about how the troll needs a nerf, and I'm just going to say I spam the crap out of Trundle in solo queue, and it has been banned against RLS in every single one of our games in Heroic. That champion is gross and unfair. Should be played, but the handshake is going to find Evan with an eye. The Amumu getting rooted up by the Blade Feather Call, and it's going to mean that Evan takes so much damage, and it's going to really soften up any sort of engage you're going to find. Meanwhile, we start to see level 6 come through for these solo lanes, and going to have to see if anyone takes an aggressive engage. So far, not found.
So, at the moment, both top laners are yet to base, and weak side veteran, who is definitely, he is definitely the weak side. Hold on.
And we see Archangel going in. Both ultimates committed immediately. The parry is not going to find the Slicing Maelstrom, so weak side veteran able to get the advantage on that one. But Atlas shows up in the bot lane. The pillar comes down onto Geico, but Frozen 1 is free to free fire on Perpetual Dusk, who does go down to ignite. Pico Pounder and Burger King both arriving at the fight. Atlas does turn around, look for Frozen, and now Burger King slices up Geico and looks for a lot of damage on Pico Pounder. The ignite is ticking, and Pico Pounder is not going to die, but Frozen finally is to the side of Atlas. Massive 2-for-1 picked up for the side of Ragnarok, as they're going to keep accelerating through jungle and mid, showing up in bot lane. Street Smurf looking for maybe a bit of a pick opportunity as they turn to the dragon, but we'll have to see if they can find anything.
Yes. Street Smurf's still looking. This is a little bit scary, but...
Spirit Rush forward.
My
Charm
goodness.
does not land onto Evan, but the Ignite does, and it is going to drop them, but Street Smurf all stunned up. The extra Spirit Rush charge is going to get them farther away, but Burger King is on top. No, the E does not take down Street Smurf. The heist is successful. The pick is taken. Now Pika Pounder going to look for an opportunity onto the Dragon, but no. Going to go over to Atlas safely, and we should see the members of SGR start to channel their recalls.
So we were talking about whether this Yone pick would pay dividends, just to go back a little bit, and he's now nested himself 2 kills from that fantastic roam. It could have been a third, but just one more ignite tick, it wasn't enough. But nevertheless, that's going to put him significantly ahead of Street Smurf now, as that previous exchange to the top side, both top laners have now based. Ults are off cooldown. Weak side veteran is still losing out a bit in the CS, but he's managed to stabilize the lane somewhat. So for the time being, it is still going to be a little bit of a lead continually for RSL. They have picked themselves up a Drake as well, and now their mid jungle is looking very, very strong.
Yeah, and they have to be happy about the way that their Wombo combo is developing. A lot of gold being put onto mid and jungle is going to help give them skirmishing power to get to this team fight stage, where we've talked about how strong their composition and their ultimates are when combined with each other. Weak side veteran picking up some nice couple of trades on the top lane. Atlas looking for an angle to get that frozen domain started up in the top lane, but Archangel's smart to the play and is going to channel that recall. Atlas going to waste a little bit of time. Ooh, Street Smurf under a bit of trouble. This charm goes wide and is going to get chunked quite a bit. Oh my goodness, almost dying to Burger King, who ultimately has to go back to the Spirit. Takes a tower shot for their trouble. And now both mid laners very low and both junglers close in proximity. It is going to be RSL looking to take the Rift Herald.
And RSL, we did say that, yes, on paper they are the slightly lower ranking than the other teams in the league. They're not by a great deal, but it obviously does make somewhat of a difference. But at the moment, oh, you did say Wall Leader. It is correct that, hang on, Burger King?
Burger King's in on Street Smurf, but Pigu Pounder's there at the Spirit and finds themselves a pretty big shutdown. Burger King going a little too far forward, committing Fate Sealed onto Street Smurf, who's able to dodge it with Spirit Rush. And that means that that critical shutdown is going to go over to Viego, and Pigu Pounder is going to start to get that ball rolling, and the Yone maybe losing a bit of momentum there.
Wall Leader, that's a first for me. I've never managed to curse someone before I even made the point I was going to curse him with. That's unreal. I was about to say that...
Oh, but there's a fight going on in the bottom side jungle where the Troll finds more. The Troll finds Street Smurf, and Viego picks themselves up another big shutdown. Meanwhile, Feather Call in the bot lane is going to find Perpetual Dusk, and the brawl in the top lane, it's everywhere. Archangel takes a tower shot. Weak side veteran picking that one up, and now Piku Pounder as Trundle arriving in the bottom side. Everyone with an eye just has to try and waddle on out of there. Dodges the Spectral Maw, but it's not going to be enough, and the Feather Call from Geico is going to take out Evan. We are seeing brawls on every side of the map that go every which way, but overall it's SGR being the beneficiary.
Yep, absolutely. They managed to build themselves up a 1.5k goal lead. They're going to get some more plates on this tower. It does mean that Burger King, with that roam from Street Smurf, he is actually going to be able to pick himself up some plates as well. But yes, we saw a 1v1 in the top side with weak side veteran just about winning out. That means he's going to be able to keep his TP. So obviously the Kennen TP, one of the scariest TPs one can have when the Slicing Maelstrom is available. That's something we have to keep our eyes on. And we haven't really seen a team fight thus far, but at the moment, the skirmishing was going well for RSL for a little while, which is what I was going to say. Not at that point in the game where SGR just decided to turn things up a little bit. So now the Viego's very far ahead, and so is Zaya. She's got a Mythic online as well.
Yeah, we're going to see a big engage up in topside. Weak side veteran is just going to turn into that little spark ball and run away. Not too much happening up there. Street Smurf, though, on the wrong side of the map. Atlas finds the chomp. Evan with an eye misses the Curse of the Sad Mummy, but does not miss the Bandage Toss. And Street Smurf, all out of dashes now, getting hit with the second from Amumu. And now Perpetual Dusk is here, but maybe a little too far forward as Piku Pounders arrive to the play. No, both teams are going to back away 1 minute before the Drake spawns.
Yes, and Perpetual Dust no mana either, so definitely not in a position to actually fight, even though he has the bullet time available. Would want to have all of the mana available for a full combo. But that is going to be the Herald popped in mid lane. With plates still available, they're going to continue to funnel gold into this Yone.
Yeah, Piku Pounders going to have to do quite a bit if they want to stop this siege. Pillar is going to go down. That means Atlas is going to take the tower aggro. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Root on a Perpetual Dusk. Bullet time does not do enough damage. Successful dive from the bot lane duo of SGR is going to mitigate some of the losses in the mid lane as the Herald gets a second charge. Burger King, though, might be in trouble. Street Smurf is here, but does not have any dashes available, so Burger King will be able to get out. But the bot lane from the side of Ragnarok is bleeding so bad right now.
They really are. Frozen, give him a hook champion. It could be Renata Glass. It could be Blitzcrank. He don't miss. He's a real terror. And I'm loving this so much, War Leader. We're seeing massive advantages being accrued by teams on both sides of the map right now. So big win conditions being established for both sides. And now the Drake has spawned. And it does look like this time it's SGR who are going to have first dibs.
Yeah, and they may have first dibs, but let's see if they're the only dibs right now. There's 4 members in the area, but Burger King is so far behind that it's going to be hard for a fight to get started. But the handshake is going to find Evan. Dragon does go down. Evan is in. Does not have Curse of the Sad Mummy. Has to flash out. Now, Atlas goes berserk. It is deleted by Zaya, who does so much damage. And now Burger King, trapped by the pillar, has to flash out, but Piku Pounder's right on his tail. That Spirit is not going to save you. You have to go back. Burger King trying to find more damage on the Street Smurf, but it's not going to work. Viego getting another reset, and weak side veteran and Perpetual Dusk trying to be safe under the tower. Kennen burns the teleport, and that means Fiora gets even more gold out of this.
Yes, and War Leader, as you said, there's just a little bit of disconnect there from the side of RSL. Not all being there at the same time to set up the choke point, to set up that beautiful wombo combo that we talked about. And so the Slicing Maelstrom, the bullet time, everything goes unused in that exchange. And yeah, more kills are being funneled into this Zaya. Now they get themselves the Drake as well. And this turret, this is now what was a fairly close game, is now starting to become a quite substantial lead for SGR.
Yeah, the game kind of exploded on that big skirmish around the second Drake right now, and the Drake does go over to Piku Pounder and the side of SGR, but the fight breaks out and it goes the way of SGR, and that means they're going to have a lot of extra gold in their pockets, like you said, and it's going to result in all of their mythics being completed, while you're still looking at the Sad Mummy and Kennen not quite having those finished yet. So you can already see the gold lead start to manifest in that way, as Fiora has now picked up quite a few plates stored aim as well as a solid 20 CS lead. Archangel scaling up pretty big into this one. We're going to have to see the side lane threat come online, maybe a little more than it did last time, and a bit more of a interesting pick. Atlas is here if Archangel goes too aggressive, and it does. The parry is committed, and that means comes out on Archangel. The Slicing Maelstrom does a lot of damage, but Fiora is healing, and no, the smack from the Troll Club Atlas Subjugate does take down Archangel, who I was just talking about getting a pretty big lead for themselves, and it's going to be stymied a bit as Atlas starts to hit on this topside tower. Trundle does so much damage to those, and it's going to demand that Piku Pounder comes up.
It's a troll diff, innit? That did look a little bit dicey there. Archangel almost managing to trade back, but Weedside Veteran does get out with his life. Archangel does have TP this time around, though, so that isn't going to be a tower falling necessarily, and still there's a huge point of pressure for SGR in that bot lane that needs to be responded to. So the second Herald is available, and it does look like Atlas is going to turn his attention to that instead.
Yeah, we've seen Evan with an eye completely abandon the spot lane, and Perpetual Dusk is kind of just tried to not bleed out so much, and unfortunately the bleeding has been quite substantial as Frozen gets to do so much pressure with that handshake, with that ability to make their enemies berserk, putting quite a bit of pressure on Perpetual Dust, trying to deny EXP and farm, and now they're turning their attention on this bottom inner tower, and there's nothing that really Ragnarok can do to protect it. They're just going to sacrifice this.
God, poor Perpetual Dusk right now really is so starved of resources as fight in the mid lane, maybe?
Burger King looking for that engage on the Street Smurf is going to blow the Spirit Rush, but that is all that's going to happen for now. Going to have to see if they can abuse that cooldown as the members of Ragnarok are going to start to transition towards that bot lane, and that's going to be the sign for Geico and Frozen to take a reset, pick up on that gold you had. Going to finish the boots, pick up another longsword for the side of Geico, who almost has their Mana Mune up and online. Wow, Archangel hit so hard on one of those vitals with the grass proc in the top lane on the weak side veteran. And we really need, for the side of Ragnarok Esports, to get to this team fighting phase. So far, the one team fight they had did not go their way because Evan did not have that Curse of the Sad Mummy up. But now that it's back online, the Wombo could happen at any time. And maybe if you're the side of Ragnarok, you're a little worried that all your gold is on not one of your Wombo pieces.
Yes, for sure. I think RSL for a moment there were trying to turn their attention towards the top side, tried to go for a repeat ganks, just goon squad Archangel, and managed to create a pressure point in top lane to respond to the spot lane. But for the time being, it doesn't look like he'd had the vision down to keep himself safe. The Drake is coming up in 50 seconds now. After that little bit of posturing on the map. And it is going to be, again, just a reset or two coming out from RSL. This time, we'll see if they can actually coordinate themselves correctly to get themselves into that fight and actually make a big team fight play happen.
Yeah, and speaking of making the big team fight play happen, weak side veteran without the teleport available has to recall and sacrifice the top outer tower to Archangel in order to potentially be there for this fight. That's going to give Archangel so much pressure in this split push scenario with that teleport advantage. We're seeing it pay big dividends at this high skill level as SGR have started to establish vision inside the jungle of Ragnarok, and it's now really dicey for them to get into the pit, and weak side veteran for their troubles just has to go back up to that top side. Teleport is coming in soon, but maybe not in time, as we see Burger King looking for the Fate Sealed. It finds Pigu Pounder, but so much damage in CC onto Burger King. You can't go in 1v4 like that, and that means the fight is over before it even gets to start, and that's exactly how SGR wants to play these fights, and that means that the third Drake of the game is going to go their way.
And again, they just don't seem to... SGR are not giving Ragnarok a opening in order to set that play up. And as you said, weak side veteran not available with that massive TP. He will have it for the next fight, but now that's just going to continue because no tempo was gained by RSL during that Drake play because they were posturing around the river themselves. That is going to mean that SGR can continue to apply pressure on this mid turret. Now, Atlas still has the second eye, so whether he didn't pop it in order to try to create some pressure before that Drake fight, so he still has that option available. We'll see where he decides to put it.
Yeah, and with it expiring pretty soon, going to have to find that opportunity sooner rather than later. And at this point, you might not find that many good opportunities. It might have to settle for just an okay one and just get some damage on one of these outer turrets. That being said, we're starting to see the win condition for SGR really take shape. Geico on the Xayah is absolutely monstrous, and once they get a critical pick onto one member, Pigu Pounder resets, Street Smurf resets, Frozen can potentially reset a death, and that means that SGR could be really devastating as soon as they get that one pick. And speaking of picks, Pigu Pounder looking for Burger King, going to have to back off, and they do commit Herald for that bottom outer, so going to pick up a little extra gold in their pockets of that standing gold is going to help mitigate the gold just slightly, but things are looking pretty dire for Ragnarok.
They are still in a rough position. We still have not seen that big team fight engaged come into effect yet. And the thing is, I mean, one thing we mentioned, you know, we've talked about the bot lane of SGR and how dangerous they are. Now, Geico is on the best champion he could be given that situation because he can peel himself. And of course, he's paired with one of the best zoners in the game in Renata Glask. So they're in a great position just to mitigate that kind of engage to begin with. He has the flash available and the cleanse as well. So he's actually really hard to get on top of. And as you said, War Leader, he's very, very strong. So if they don't kill him, then he can shred the entire team given half a chance. So that's something that RSL are going to really have their work cut out playing around. They are down about 4K right now. There's another Drake coming up in not too long. The Baron is also on the map, and they have SGR have a huge point of pressure up there on the top side. They're also on the mid as well. What are RSL going to do to respond to this? This is a very tricky situation for them.
Yeah, one of the issues they've had so far is getting Evan in a position where they can engage, but now, on top of Pigu Pounder is damaging. Oh my goodness, Archangel going so aggressive on weak side Veteran, asks for the Slicing Maelstrom, but it doesn't matter. The duel is going down, and Archangel is going to get the heal. Burger King trying to clean up in that top side, but I don't know if you can duel the duelist, but it turns out you absolutely can, as Yone, as Archangel's going to be dropped in exchange. Now, Pigu Pounder pushing up into the enemy jungle as they siege this mid tower. Are they going to find anything? It doesn't look like it, but Atlas wants more. Charm is going to land, and that means Atlas is in so much trouble, rooted up by the Spectral Maw, has to flash out, but it's not going to be enough. Lethal Tempo stack, and that does kill Pigu Pounder. Bullet time goes down onto Frozen, taken very, very low, and then Burger King is back in dealing with Street.
Oh my god!
Berserk goes down, and Dusk kills their own support, and that is going to be the game changer in this fight, and it means that SGR are going to take it at the end of things.
Yes, and Weak Side Veteran does have TP and has just respawned. Does he have a TP angle potentially? He could do into the mid lane, but he doesn't have the Slicing Maelstrom available, so that's not going to be an option for them either. Burger King does get out with his life. Some shutdowns are picked up, but nevertheless, it is just going to mean continual point of pressure for SGR, who are going to respawn now. Take themselves a reset now, potentially. Set themselves up for that next straight, which will get them onto Soul Point. It looked a little bit dicey for them for a second, with the Troll managing to pick up the shutdown onto Pigu Pounder. But that Renata Glask, that hostile takeover is so powerful in choke points. And even though it was a great bullet time as well from Perpetual Dusk, it just wasn't enough given how far behind he is. So it was a great effort there from RSL, but still the gold lead, it's barely the same, and so is the map state.
Yeah, this is one of those things where early sort of missteps in laning can really impact the rest of the game. Perpetual Dusk had just one more level, just a little more XP. That second level of bullet time, which is coming through right now, would have probably actually killed Geico on what ultimately didn't result in much other than some damage. Could have eliminated Xayah from the fight entirely, which would have massively changed the landscape of that fight, and as a result, this game. Perpetual Dusk on the Misfortune is trying to match Archangel in the top side, mostly able to do it through wave clear, but has to be careful with the step up. The Vital is facing Fiora, and that means Archangel does have a potential in whenever they want it as they approach the tower. Weak side Veteran here to start, but Archangel's getting it going early. Perpetual Dusk is getting deleted. The Slicing Maelstrom barely clips Archangel, who now has to find a way out, but 3v1 it's not going to happen, and it means, oh my goodness, Archangel's escaping into the base. The members of
TP?
Oh, she's teleporting out. Will she get there? No, the Bandit's Toss is going to find her, and it's going to be Archangel dropping, but oh my goodness, continues to run away. Finally shut down by Weak Side Veteran, but look at how much time that cost. The SGR picked up an Ocean Drake for themselves, and they pick up a big CS wave in the bottom lane and now get to start their siege on mid.
Archangel has just proven time and again how good he is at drawing so much pressure. He held out for so long there after taking a kill on Perpetual Dusk and getting under the tower. And it does look like this is just going to mean that the tempo advantage is all in the favor of SGR. They managed to get themselves another turret. As you said, they've got the Drake as well. They now have a potential opportunity to start looking at the Baron should they wish to.
Yeah, and the vision is starting to get set up for them as they go towards this topside river and start investing their wards. Currently, not a lot of coverage for them, but they're probably going to need to take a base, let Frozen refill on those wards before it'll really start impacting the vision landscape. But yeah, Ragnarok are completely on the back foot right now, and maybe this Baron is where they get to turn things around. It's going to be up to the side of SGR to determine when that starts.
So, notably, the Misfortune is still yet to complete her collector. You mentioned levels. It would be it's very impactful if they are able to get the combo off for her to have 2 items on the board, be able to do meaningful damage. Because SGR isn't tanky. You know, the Viego and the Fiora can take quite a bit, but there aren't that many, armor items necessarily nor a lot of health stacked. So if they can get it off, there is still a world in which RSL. I'm so sorry. It was going to happen at one point during this cast, wasn't it, Wardley? Let's be honest. But it was going to happen at one point. But RSL, there is still a world in which they can make something happen. But SGR have just not given them a sniff of it because they've controlled the choke points every time. And they're continuing to do so, clearing out vision, making sure that any play they make is very, very stacked in their favor. So great patience from them. We'll see whether they decide to just continue holding pressure until they get to Soul, or whether they do decide to actually start making a move on this Baron. It does look like they're going to continue to put pressure on the mid lane for the time being, though.
Yes, and as we get into these team fights, I think my eyes are definitely going to have to be on weak side Veteran and Evan with an eye to get it started. We've previously seen what happens when Burger King is the one that tries to get the wombo combo going, and they just get deleted in no time. It has to be one of these champions with a non-ultimate engage to really get it going, and either a TP flank from the cannon or a really solid bandage toss from Evan could really get that rolling for them. But so far, we haven't seen them able to do it. And in fact, it's been Burger King and Atlas that have been the start of every fight.
Look at this patience from Atlas, though. He's going to meet. He's going to go for it, too.
He's going to go for Piku Pounder. Pillar goes down, but on the wrong side. It means that that mist is going to accelerate Piku Pounder right out of the frozen domain. We're going to go back to our bit of our Omega Lull state that we've been in for the past few minutes, but the Dragon Timer is counting down, and that means potentially a win condition for the side of SGR, where they force Ragnarok to decide which objective to put their focus on.
And it's so difficult for RSL, if it wasn't difficult already, because we haven't talked about it, but SGR is a fantastic split pushing composition. They've been playing this 1-3-1 out very patiently. Got the Ahri in the side lane, the Fiora in the side lane, and they're just chilling, continuing to hold advantage over 3 waves, which means I don't want to... It might be deja vu all over again, because every time there's been a play for Drake, that choke point, as you just saw weak side Veteran trying to moving his way away from, has been entirely controlled by SGR, and that has meant that they have had complete run of the fights. With that hostile takeover, that's literally all they need to decide the fight, in the choke, despite how much how much potential there is from RSL's comp. But now RSL have recognized this, and they are actually in the river in time.
Yeah, and they're critically, for the first time in this game, going to get that vision set up, and Atlas is going to be able to clear out the minions in the mid lane without getting poked down too much. So currently RSL maybe finding themselves in the best spot they've been in all game to take a fight. Atlas may be getting a little pinched here, but the team is there to bail them out. And they're going to have complete river control. Charm does go out onto Heaven, but no follow-up, and SGR is choosing, okay, you have the river, we have your mid lane, as they go and they push towards the base. Archangel already hitting on that top inhibitor as the bottom inhib tower falls, and very solid macro from the side of SGR is going to net them 2 inhibitors, but now Ragnarok has arrived. What is your engage? Evan is approaching, Atlas is approaching, the pillar goes down, and Evan is in, but hand shook right out of there. Fate Sealed goes down, but there's just not enough wombo, it's not there in time, and the hostile takeover does so much, but the bullet time comes down, and it's massive. Atlas now flashing on top of Street Smurf, who falls to the troll, and the troll hits so fast and is going to find themselves a triple kill for Ragnarok Esports. They found the end they need, and they can pick up this Baron and the Dragon if they want to.
You stepped a little bit too far into the kingdom, and the troll is waiting for you with 4 quick kills. The wombo finally comes into effect, War Leader. They gave up 2 inhibs in order for it to happen, and they did get danced around with the Drake. The Drake's still available, by the way, and it does look like Perpetual Dusk is going to go down there to deal with it, but that is exactly the opening that finally RSL need, and they're going to be able to take the Baron as well. This could be their potential comeback here.
Oh my goodness, Lolo. Right when we think that this game is hitting a turning point where SGR are just finally going to put the nail in the coffin, Ragnarok come up big, and their team fight works, and Atlas does so much damage with the amount of gold that they have on that Trundle and stacking that lethal tempo throughout a fight. Atlas is able to strip the little bit of armor away from Archangel or from Pigu Pounder and make themselves the tankiest member in the game. And without Fiora, it's so difficult for them to script through that, and it means Atlas gets to stack up throughout the fight as all of these Wombo tools go down that SGR have to put their attention to first. So having this Trundle be so strong is currently benefiting RSL when I was originally concerned about not having that gold in the right place, and now it's up to SGR to decide, okay, so they did pick themselves a pretty significant standing gold advantage, and now RSL are going to have to deal with super minions in 2 waves for the next 5 minutes. But that fight did not go their way, and they need to start figuring out what they're going to do to not have that happen again, and I think they just have to split push their way to this victory.
The Troll just bought a full Death's Dance on base, so that's pretty nice for him. As you mentioned, they are still sitting. They are still under fire from 2 open inhibs. Very scary.
Street Smart finds a charm onto Evan, is going to chunk them out, but doesn't quite want to full commit, but because Atlas is right there, and like we've been talking about, so strong. But speaking of so strong, Archangel in this top side, nearly uncontestable at this point, has completely outscaled Kennen in terms of 1v1 viability, and it means that they're going to push in with this wave of super minions into Baron, and the siege is on for the rested bot lane, but Evan finds a massive wombo with this Curse of the Sad Mummy, and the bullet time does go down. Evan is going to drop, and currently Archangel on the Nexus Tower, but weak side veteran wins that 1v1, and it's currently 2 for 1 in the side of Ragnarok Esports as they are defending the last stand. Let's get a replay.
Let's get a replay here. The Slicing Maelstrom goes down. He stopwatches the parry as well, and with the turret shots as well, he does just have enough. You said the turret coming in clutch and the stopwatch weak side veteran, that was huge, because if he'd lost that Archangel could have done so much more. Those Nexus turrets probably wouldn't exist right now, but that is RSL are able to hold.
Yeah, and the Q from Fiora is just slightly too early. It hits the turret. Atlas maybe finding Pigu Pounder a little caught out now. Doesn't know where he is in the mist. And Atlas doesn't quite keep up. The Frozen Domain does not come down to follow. That could have been a really big pick, but it's not meant to be.
No, but RSL will still count their blessings because that was a potential game-winning push with the 4-1 setup, but it's denied. Their inhibs are still open. Their Baron is running out in just over 20 seconds, so they're not going to have that much more potential control over the push, but it might just be enough. They've got themselves a little bit of breathing room. 2 minutes until the next potential soul point, 3 until the next Baron, and not too long until their inhibs are respawning as well. So they bought themselves more time. What are they going to be able to do with it?
Right, and we've been talking about how strong this Trundle is and picking up that Death's Dance, and that's where a lot of the gold is right now for the side of Ragnarok. But Yone has found themselves a Quicksilver Sash and a Stopwatch, which could be critical for keeping them alive in this next fight. It's going to be up to Burger King to use those defensive tools as effectively as possible to output the damage, because Atlas can't 1v5 teams. The Wombo needs to be in, and so far Evan has done a great job of finding him. Weak side veteran has been a weak side veteran dealing with Archangel in the top side. The 2-level lead for the Kennen has barely been enough to deal with this Fiora, and pretty quickly we're going to see this Fiora scale up to the point where I don't think Kennen is going to be able to match. And at that critical point, that's when SGR really have their opening to put this one away.
Well, he's still got Zhonya's, and he bought himself a death cap just there, so he's got a lot of damage. It's a scary one. It's really scary because it's still a pressure point where Archangel can say, "Look, if you die to me, then I can make a push that can potentially win us the game if my team coordinate on the other side of the map." So RSL still have to be very careful because they do have a very open point on the top side of their base, as we can see. But they are just going to still continue to play defensive, but that might be potentially giving up soul because they haven't had enough time to set up the river as they did last time. The jungle is fully vision controlled by SGR, and Archangel's still knocking on the top side inhib with that Drake about to spawn in 20 seconds. So they may have to give it up, but that's not something they'd want to.
Yeah, and Atlas is pushing into the choke point. Handshake finds Evan into Atlas, but not much more. Archangel is already pushed down the top inhibitor, going to be able to rotate into the mid one, but is looking for weak side veteran. Both ultimates come out, and weak side veteran is deleted, and that means Archangel has every opportunity to end the game, and all SGR has to do is stop the recalls. Frozen flash for the handshake, and Evan finds a bandage toss, but it doesn't matter. Hostile takeover goes out on Atlas, and Burger King finds a fate sealed, but none of it matters when Archangel's ending the game, and that Nexus is going to drop. Archangel coming up huge on the split push.
He's a terror, isn't he? He's the you don't want to be on the wrong side of this SGR top laner, and that was what we were afraid of. And SGR, they bounced back after a really quite crushing defeat in terms, mental defeat from Rice, and turn it around to put themselves 2-1.
Yeah, and if you're this on the side of RSL, you're thinking about, okay, we have a week to regroup and get ready for a crazy top 2 push. Starting 0-3 is definitely not how they wanted to begin the Mythic, but there's still plenty of time. They're only halfway through their games, and they do have a lot of potential. I think the composition that they pulled out, specifically Atlas, played very well, and they played to their strengths. Unfortunately, they got outscaled, and up in Mythic League, split push threats are piloted well enough to work, so they're going to have to work on, well, what can we put weak side veteran on that can actually match these insane split pushers? Otherwise, their composition was starting to turn out really well.
Yes, I mean, I think what we've seen from the past 2 days from RSL is incredibly promising. They think they have an awful lot of potential to grow, and I believe them. From what we're seeing now, there is an awful lot of potential. There are things that we've seen from SGR that have just given them so much advantage in that game, because there were points like towards the end of the game where they pulled the gold lead, the kill count, everything back in their favor. There was a real clear window there. It's just too much pressure. Weak side, well, not weak side God, but split push God Archangel. Sometimes it's just too much to deal with a Fiora who's, that scary. But nevertheless, RSL, I'm sure they'll be coming back swinging next week. But yeah, that's a really, really solid week 1 for SGR going 2-1.
That being said, we're going to have to hear about how these games went 1-1 from a victorious member of SGR when we come back after this break.
Funny when I break out a lifestyle dark. Honey when I rank in a tight flow spark. What a psycho chart, playing dice go starter. Who are you? Better know yourself. Know your soul, gotta know your wealth. Slow your roll, get a hold, don't melt. And don't you fall when I feel like hell. Well, who am I? Am I and me? I'm not the one you wanna fuck with. Late nights messing up my sleep, so I'm flustered. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Writing, trying to get myself a lamb color cut for the game. Leave from hanging by a chain. Click, bang, feeling rage, feeling fire in my brain, feel insane. And the story, feel the flame. 45 to my brain, praying more and please. it with my pen because I trust it. But you wanna get myself a lamb color custard.
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth here with our second interview today, and I'm joined by Frozen of the victorious Sick Game Riot. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling super great after this game. It's really amazing to at least win one game.
Hey, I mean, you folks advanced to 2-1 after our first week, so not all bad on the whole. Let's talk about this game itself. You folks are bouncing back after your previous game. We saw a little bit of shifting gears from you folks. Archangel was opened up with the Fiora, which I found was very interesting. And then you yourself were put onto the Renata Glask. What are your thoughts overall on the draft that you folks had, and then what you're up against? They had the Yone, they had the Mummy support coming in on the bot side.
Yeah, when we were first drafting, we were aiming for comfort, especially after the first loss. So we were just trying to get our comfort picks out and just play our game. When we saw that they were playing for the Wombo combo with Mumu and MF, we just headed for some split push with Fiora, and then I just paired up the Renata with the Viego, which is really insane.
Yeah, well, both those synergies worked out really well in this game. We always love to see the craziness that is Fiora with a Hold Breaker that is just fully unleashed. That would seem to be the only time where you folks felt like the game might be slipping out of your hands, is in my opinion, when you weren't playing towards the Archangel win condition in that regard, or just regards to like the center, how the map was playing at the time, the tempo. You know what I mean? So like, that's the second question. That's where I want to take us for this. This game was very back and forth. It felt like there was a lot of swapping in the tempo, mistakes made on both sides that were capitalized, which is, it's another thing to make a mistake, but it requires the other team to so-called catch the throw, and I felt like any small mistakes that was made on either side of this game were capitalized. So talk to me a little bit about how you felt in this game, how your team was feeling in this game with the back and forth nature of how it was playing out.
Yeah, of course. When we saw that our Fiora was winning the counter matchup, because Kennen is kind of good with against Fiora. When we saw that he was winning, we just play, alright, Fiora's gonna carry our ass, so we just let him split push, and we just wait to outscale, and when he has more pressure than the Kennen, we just take the objective, or we take the fight. Yeah, and I just want to shout out the Archangel, because he was always calling us out when Kennen was off, when he was roaming. So that call made us back up a little bit and just wait for him to apply more pressure and do our thing.
Damn, that's crazy to imagine a solo laner communicating.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right?
I know, it's hard to imagine, but hey, I mean, that's what you get here in Mythic, folks. We get a little bit extra here of the things that you expect out of that top level of play. So we tip our hat for sure to Archangel in that regard. And I do want to take a look forward. This is the end of week 1 for you folks, playing 3 matches on this side of the set. You folks end up 2-1 after your first week. What are your thoughts? What are your takeaways for you and the team after this first week?
I'm just gonna say that 2 of the teams I won't tell, they're kind of free, and the other one we just gotta try a little bit more. But honestly, we should win the whole thing pretty easily if we just get our heads together and play as a team.
All right, well, we're the gauntlet's been thrown down. Those are fighting words if I've ever heard them. So we'll have to just see how SGR turns out on the second half of the round robin. Frozen, thank you so much for your time and for this interview. Congratulations to SGR. Before we step away, though, your opportunity. Any final thoughts, any shout-outs, banter you would like to leave with us while you're on the desk?
Just shout out to my team. I think they rallied very well after the first loss, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, folks, that's 2 games down today. We do have a 3rd game for our Mythic set today, so don't go too far. We'll be back after a short break.